John Demetriou, and I'm here today in Cincinnati, Ohio, at our garden. Today I'd like to talk about one of my most favorite perennials, indeed the most favorite in the country right now, perennial, and that's Hosta, genus Hosta. I am a grower, and I do like them. I'm a collector, and what we're going to do is try to show you the hosta, talk about it, familiarize and educate you about it, and then show you the progression of its growth from early spring, when it first begins to emerge, through summer, and then finally into late fall when it goes dormant. So that's what we hope to do with the hosta. The genus Hosta is an herbaceous perennial, and what that means is that they go through a cycle. They go dormant as it gets colder into the fall, early winter, and finally they simply disappear and remain dormant throughout the winter time. They're very hardy. That's why I like them. That's why I've become a collector. And there's hardly anything other than deer, I might say, and maybe the voles that really that are really predators, or really affect hostas all that much. Of course, they like water. They do like water. But let me show you some of the stages that they go through. This one, this is Hosta Jubilee, and it is it's a hybrid. Most hostas are. You know, I mean, we have the species Hosta, but of course, most collectors collect the hybrids for their beauty, their leaf size, their shape, their color. There's just so many things, and even now, even flowers. So there is Jubilee in a stage that is pretty, it's probably not, it's a young plant, and it's probably not fully emerged yet, but there you can see it. And then I would point out another variety, which is Dick Ward, and I have that in a pot. It's such an unusual hosta that I've put it in that pot, and you can see there that one is not nearly as emerged as a Hosta Jubilee, but that shows you the difference in the emergence based on the the parentage, if you will. So you're going to see all these stages as we progress throughout the summer, as I mentioned previously about hostas and their sizes and their colors and the variation, which makes them such a collectible plant species. But certainly they're also called the friendship plant. So those people that collect them and have them, they're easily divided through division. You would just lift some of these plants up, make a cut, and then give them to your friends or neighbors or whomever. But that's why they call them the friendship plants. Now here I'm next to some what they call miniature hostas, and what we try to do is, because we have so many varieties in our garden, the smaller ones, or that is the miniatures and the smalls, we try to keep them in hypertufa. And here you see the hypertufa container with our miniatures in them. Otherwise, they'd simply be lost in this garden. So it's a nice way to display miniature hostas. You might want to try it. That's called hypertufa. So here you see another one of my favorites, Little Miss Magic. And certainly one of the biggest misconceptions about this plant is it's a shade-loving plant. Actually, it's not all that shade-loving. It's very shade-tolerant, but in this exposure that I have for Little Miss Magic, it's going to get about full sun all day, and will tolerate it very well. That's one of the things that the hybridizers are now doing, hybridizing for full sun. And there are certainly many varieties that will accept and even thrive in full sun. Earlier I showed you Hosta Little Miss Magic, which is small, and certainly you didn't get the full impact of it because it hasn't fully emerged. But just let me bring your attention to these, and we go from the small now to the large, the sum and substance, and these are just in early eruption, their early stage of emergence, eruption. And here you see the bullets, or pips as some people call them, and we're going to follow up in about a week or two, and then I'll show you how much these things have emerged. These three, this is a grouping of three, which will fill the whole area I'm standing in. So this is Hosta Sum and Substance, one that I think every gardener or any person who likes hostas should have in their own garden for their own personal collection. But we'll show you these in about a week or two, and you're going to be amazed at what you see in the week. But look at them now, and then we'll come back. The favorite thing with hostas that I like to do is put them in containers. And I do that because they're in my controlled environment. I can water them when I want to. I can even move them when I want to. But certainly I bring them up to a level that a lot of people like to look at. And in this case, you can see it in that, and just emerging. But you will see in a week or two when we shoot another episode just how beautiful they can be in containers placed throughout the yard at strategic places. Another of my favorites for planting of hostas is in mass planting. And here you see Hosta Blue Cadet planted in mass, probably 30 plants. And when these are fully emerged, that will cover this whole area. And talking about beautiful, this is beautiful, and you'll see it in that stage. Another favorite way to display hostas would be in borders or in a row, and here you have just a very common, what I would think to be common hosta. That's Fortunii albomarginatas in a row that kind of delineates the path that they're next to, adjacent to, and it's a very striking effect.
Happy gardening!